What's up, guys? Raphael here with an update. So, found some old video, some old videos online that I had posted before, but didn't post on YouTube. And this is pretty much how this project started. It wasn't initially a 2D game engine. I was just messing around with the Windows GDI, trying to see what I could accomplish. And this video that we're seeing here was one of my first tests that I did. I saw that there were functions to create rectangles and make them different colors. And I created this example, and there was a lot of flicker at first. And then I was trying to figure out how I could remove the flicker. And I figured that out by implementing something known as a back buffer. So I got that working, and I tried the example again, and you can see here how this blue box is going in between the red and the yellow, and that really got me excited to try new things. So I kept doing research to see what I could do, and let's move on to the next example to see what I accomplished. Alright, so in this example, things progressed a little further. Now I had moving boxes on the screen. Uh, they were moving by themselves. I had the mouse pointer tied to a bitmap. So here I was learning how to work with bitmaps and how to load bitmaps. And this is when I actually started creating more of a class to manage and do stuff with the bitmaps. You can see here I'm cycling through this, whatever this thing is. And this was kind of just like when I was implementing a bitmap with tiles. Here I'm scrolling a picture of myself across the screen. So I was experimenting with all of these things and just seeing how everything worked, and it led to more exciting stuff. So let's move on to the next example and see what I accomplished. Alright, so as you can see in this example, if you look on the top left corner, you'll see that the title bar says Research Project number six, side scrolling and other stuff. And that's what I was doing. Every time I figured something out, I made something else to improve on the previous. So here I got a ton of stuff that's moving across the screen. I got some ugly looking boxes just going around, and I got something that looks like a moving platform. So here I was trying to figure out how I figured out how to scroll a background here, and how to put stuff. Like, this is when I figured out how to create a 2D map and just put stuff in it, and how every object in the 2D world space lived in its own area. Um, Kind of confusing to explain, but that's kind of what I was doing here. Um, and then from this point on, I just sat down. So you can just look at my little blue guy. Just look how crappy he looked back then compared to what he looks like now. So let's move on to the next example. Alright, so here is where I began my journey in collision detection. Um, so here I was talking about this in this video. When I released it, I actually put it up on Facebook, and nobody really cared for it because people on my Facebook really weren't interested in that. It looked really silly. Now you can just see how crappy the little box guy looks compared to what he looks like now. As I said before, a major improvement. And I was um, looking up pictures online and using other people's works as backgrounds. So here I was just getting into collision detection here. That's what I was doing. As you can see here, I'm able to detect that box when my guy was touching it. And this is how it started. From here on out is really when I decided that I wanted to make a 2D game. But then I realized that I wanted much more than a 2D game. I wanted to create somewhat of a bunch of classes that would allow me to create a many things that I could use to move around the screen, like this box is moving uh, in a square pattern here. Was a class actually the first implementation of the platform class. I also had a player class here that didn't really look the best. And that was pretty much it. From here on, I decided to go online and maybe try to get help from other people. But uh, to my disappointment, I was met with resistance from a lot of people who just began to tell me, "You're wasting your time. This has already been done. You should just use Unity. You should just use Construct." And they weren't seeing the point. What I wanted to do with this is I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to make a 2D game engine, I really wanted to see um, what things I was gonna encounter, what problems I was gonna have to figure out on my own. Like, yeah, maybe, yeah, sure, it's been already been done, um, and you can just make a game. But I didn't want to make a game. I was just fascinated, just seeing what I could do, and knowing that you know it gave me an opportunity to work more closely with C++ and the Windows the Win32 API and see just what things I could do. I mean, this gave me something to do. It was more like a hobby at the time, and I just kept going with it. Every day I was saying like, what else can I do? What else can I add? Can I add this? Can I add that? How do you do this? And I figured out a lot of things. A lot of things. The more I added, the clearer things began to get, and the things started to make sense. And fast forward to today, I I accomplished amazing stuff. I figured out what it is that I was after. I figured out how to render efficiently. I wouldn't say I'm completely done with that yet, but I figured out how to render really good with the Windows GDI. And I got a good framework for a 2D game engine. And I mean, all I'm doing right now is just writing classes for it to make stuff move on the screen. But the rendering part, which is what I really wanted to figure out, um, I figured it out. That was my biggest goal with the whole project was figuring out how to make a player that moves through a 2D map and interacted with various objects and make like a scrolling 2D map. I've always wanted to figure out how that worked because I remember when I was a kid playing Super Mario. I've always had a desire to know how does that work, and how does the programming behind that work? What makes that happen? You know, and I'm pretty sure the way I do it is probably how most 2D game engines do it because you do something and then you go and you look at the actual code and you find that you were pretty close to how it was done by some other professional coder or something like that. No, but yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys because this is how it first used to look like when I started. It was really crappy. It was just this ridiculously looking little box guy with no feet, no legs, and now I have something amazing. And I'm gonna. It's been 1 year now. It's officially 1 year today that I started this project, and I'm gonna keep on moving forward with it. And I believe that maybe next year um, it will be there will be enough code in my 2D game engine to really sit down and make a really nice game with it because that's what I want. But I'm taking my time with it, and there's been some challenges, some hard challenges learned, and yeah, I'm just gonna move. I'm just gonna keep moving ahead with it and see where this takes me. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Uh, bye bye.